Sawadee Krap and welcome to another episode here on the Funk Report for the Thailand Tuesday. And today, actually, it's based on current happenings, current events, current things I had to do. And I announced it last time. I announced it at one of the previous Thailand Tuesdays that I'm gonna talk about this once it's time. And now it is time. No, I didn't get married or anything like this. I had to extend my visa and my work permit. And so now I'm just gonna quickly explain how this happened, what I had to do, and so on. And no, there are no shortcuts here. I am employed in Thailand. I have an employer. Your employer has to give you all the necessary paperwork to apply for a visa, like a work visa called non-B visa here in Thailand. If you have all the documents, like your contract, for example, you need to prove where you live, all those things. If you have all those contracts, documents, contracts like your work contract and so on, if you have an existing work permit, you also need the copies of your existing work permit, even though quite likely the work permit will also expire at the same time, probably as your work visa will expire, because once you start working for the first time, your employer quite likely will, maybe that's just coincidence right now. So your employer, once they hire you, they will, for the first time, have to get your work permit as well. For me, it's just when the visa expires as well. No, that makes sense, actually. Scratch all that. It's late while I'm recording. Of course, you do get the work visa, and then you do the work permit right after. So that's why this usually, if you have a non-B visa and a work permit, they expire around the same time usually. And that's why you have to do all those things at the same time. That makes sense. Smart that I figured that out right now. So then you do the visa first. You still cannot make any online appointments officially. So ideally, you get all the documents from your employer. That's really important. Get all the documents, look online what you need, print out the form, fill it out, sign it, everything, get ready, get your picture, get all the copies of all the pages of your passport, all the pages of the work permit, also the pages at the very end of the work permit that don't seem to be important. There is something in Thai language that matters. So yeah, usually like the first 1-2 pages or so with information, then it's blank pages, and then at the very end it says something. So don't forget to copy the pages at the very end of the work permit as well. They need those two. They want to see those two in copy. Once then you have everything, collect. Like in theory, you could also make copies at the work permit office. Like it's in Bangkok, it's in a huge office complex. The ground floor, you have like the basement, you have copy shops and so on. You can get pictures taken, but that would cost you time. So don't do it. Bring everything. It's really time saving. Okay, so then I would suggest that you arrive at around 7 a.m., maybe even at like 6:30 or so. But I usually arrive at around 7 a.m. or so, and then you get a queue number to wait outside of the office. So then you sit outside of the office. They have the chairs numbered. You sit outside of the office when you arrive at around 7. Like me, you're usually around number 50, 60, sometimes when it's crazy, maybe you even like 80, 90, but most of the time I'm like around 50, 60 or so outside. Then at around 8:30, when the office actually opens, like maybe 8:20ish, 8:15ish, they open the doors, and then they let you in according to the queue number that you have outside. If you come later, you have another number, or maybe you don't even get a number, you have to wait until everybody with a number is in, and then you can queue at the outside. Then once you enter, they quickly check your documents. If you have everything, they check your passport, and then they will give you a new queue number according to what you want to do. Because inside the office, there are different kinds of counters. There are the ones for the non-B visa. There are the ones for like personal visa extensions. There are the ones for marriage visas, and so on. So then you get another number, and then again you sit and wait. And then the counter for the work visa is the counter N, and then you sit in front of those They have like, I think, 4 or 5 counters for counter N, and then you sit in front of counter N and you wait until your number appears on a display. Then they tell you like, hey, that's the number, go to this or that counter. Then you go there, show all your documents, and then it's straightforward from there. They check if you have everything. If you have everything, you have to pay. I think the work visa right now is 1,900 baht. If something's missing, they will tell you that something is missing, and then either they tell you go down, make a copy. If it's just a copy of an original that you have with you, bring the original, a passport, of course, a work permit, your work contract, just in case. The 90 days notice is also necessary. Should all be in your passport anyways. You also need a copy of that. So if a copy is missing, they usually tell you go down, make a copy. If something else is missing, then maybe you have to get your employer to check with you. I know many employers send their staff with their workers anyways. I always do it alone. I don't want to bother our staff. So either then you have to call your employer, see what's happening, if they can send you something, fax something, send it by email, you print it, and so on. But usually the staff there is quite helpful though, because they know it's like a pain in the ass and they don't want you to come one day, go back, and then come the next day again. They also don't benefit from that. So they're usually quite nice, but if something crucial is missing, they can't proceed. Let's assume that nothing is missing, then they process everything, you pay, they give you a slip, and they send you then to another counter where they double check everything, whether or not everything is okay. And once that double check is done, you get your passport back, and then you're done. Now, this can take, like the time that it takes really depends on how many people are there that day, how early do you come. For me, this past week, I arrived at 7 a.m. to get an early queue number, but then I was done at 9:20 or so, 9:30 maybe. It's late, so I think around 9:20 actually. Maybe 9:15, around that time. So arriving early at 7 a.m. before it's actually open and just getting an early queue number then paid off for me in regards so I didn't have to wait too long inside. If you say, I'm not crazy, I don't gonna go there at 7 and then wait outside, that's ridiculous. So if you then come at like 8:30 when the office opens, then you get a later queue number, then maybe it's going to take you longer. The thing is, why do I come so early? Does it matter if I finish at 9:30 or at 10:30 or 11:30? Not really. I have to spend the time there anyways. I can't work in that time anyways. The thing is, if you're not done by 12, the whole office goes on a 1-hour lunch break. It means you're stuck there for another hour. There are restaurants there, not great, but there are restaurants there, so you can eat something and so on. But they kick you out of the office because all the staff is leaving for lunch. So you have to leave the office, and then at 1 p.m. you have to come back, and then you wait again. All right. So that's why I try to either get it done before lunch break, or if you have to work in the morning, try to get it done right after lunch break. But yeah, so because the office closes at 4:30, if you're not done by 4:30, come tomorrow. Okay, so this is just some information for you. Again, I think over the years, the staff there has become way nicer, way more relaxed, way more chill. Maybe it's just me because I also now just know how everything goes, so I'm not that anxious anymore. I'm still anxious just because I'm always afraid I forget something, I forget a copy or whatever, or I forget something from my employer, and then I have to come back. And the paperwork just makes me anxious because I'm just scared that something is missing. But so far, never happened. Everything has always been awesome. And the people getting, I think the English skills are increasing. I know, like in the news, Thailand is still slipping in English proficiency, but in the office, I think the English skills are increasing. Maybe my Thai skills are getting better too. But no, I think communication is getting much better in those offices, so I'm really appreciative of this. For the work permit then, so the work permit then has been decentralized like 3 years ago. So before it was all in the same office, and like the work employment office was like a big office, like somewhere in Bangkok, right? I'm talking about Bangkok, in the Dinh Dang district in Bangkok. But now there are like different employment offices across the city, or like the districts, and of course if you live outside of Bangkok. And so your employer will tell you which work permit office, which employment office you have to go to. Now the thing here is that lots of those employment offices, they were kind of like, it seemed to me, surprised that they had to handle now also work permits for foreigners, because all the signage, like the signs, the forms, everything is still in Thai only. However, from my experience now and from the employment officer that I went to the last 2 or 3 years since they changed that, was that the staff there is incredibly helpful and super nice. I think they realized that it's something new for them. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that like they decentralized this work permit office thing, so now everyone had to figure out like how to handle it. I assume, and so hence they know it's new for them, so they are not really prepared or something new, and they understand that it's also difficult for the people applying for the work permit, because we don't speak Thai fluently usually, and reading Thai is of course a completely different ballgame. So usually the communication, while sometimes a bit difficult because they might not speak English super fluently and we don't speak Thai that fluently, the communication still usually is very polite, very friendly, very helpful, which is really nice. But the same thing goes here. You need to prepare all the documents before. There are also copy shops in the buildings, at least in the employment office that I have to go to. There's a copy shop right in front of the office. But again, it saves time if you get the form from your employer, fill out everything, sign everything, and put the number of your new visa in and everything. Bring a picture, copy of the contracts of where you live. Very, very important. Pay your tax and bring a copy of the tax slip, the tax receipt. That's like a A4 paper that you get when you pay your tax. So this needs to be there. Lots of foreigners forget that. Happened to me once too. I forgot to add it, and then I couldn't get the work permit on that day, and I had to come back the next day because the time ran out. So I had to get this copy of my tax receipt. So bring your tax receipt, this A4 paper that you get when you do your tax here in Thailand. Very important. Okay. Then again, same thing. Once it gets processed, then once it's processed, everything is checked, all the documents are checked. They send you then to the cashier. You pay the fee there, depending on like what kind of work permit. I think there's like 1 year extension or a 2 year work permit extension. I think the 2 year work permit extension is 6,100 baht right now, which leads me to believe that the 1 year extension is around 3,000 something, but I would simply guess right now. So yeah, you can pay that. Since this year, you can also pay it cashless. Before everything was cash, but now eventually, maybe also a bit driven by COVID, you can pay cashless also there, which is nice. Just scan with the QR code and then just transfer the money, which is rather nice. All right. Then once you have this, yeah, as I said, new to me was that you can have 2 year extensions. Apparently, the employer needs to state that in the form that should be a 2 year extension. But then, yeah, there you go. So you have also, of course, needs to fit your contract. If you have a 1 year contract, you can't get a 2 year extension, I would assume. So, and it needs to fit the contract, of course, as well. Yeah, and then once this is done, you pay. Then you get the documents back. You bring the documents back to the counter that was checking it before. They check one more time just to see that you paid and everything is fine. Then you get your work permit, your passport. You get it back before already. You get your work permit. You're done. You're happy. Off you go. Same thing goes here though. The sooner you come, the better. Of course, you don't have to be there at 7 a.m. So I went there at, I think I googled when the office opens. It says 8:30. I went there at 8:30 because I wasn't sure if I have to queue there like crazy before, and there weren't as many people waiting. Yes, there are people waiting, of course, but it's not like with the immigration office, with the Division 1 immigration office, where you do your visa extension, where it's like lots of people coming in there at the same time. The work permit office, it's enough. If you go there at 8:30, you're going to be done by 10 or so at the latest, I would assume. Also, again, depending, of course, on the day, how many people are there, right? So just saying like more or less, I think. You can also go there. Today, for example, I went there in the afternoon because I had to work in the morning and I couldn't postpone the meetings and so on. So I went there in the afternoon. After lunch, I went there at around 1:30ish, and it took me like an hour to get out of there. So not that many people. Maybe also because it's a Friday, so there weren't that many people waiting there. I'm guessing. So yeah, but just plan your time. Okay. Yeah, so that's about it. So it's nothing that exciting today. I just wanted you to run you through this once so that you've seen it or heard it once, and I'm just not surprised in regards to what might happen there. Yeah, so that's it. How to get to those places? You can usually go by taxi, of course. Why do I say that? Because If you take a Grab there, and work permit office, whatever. You take a Grab there, take a Grab back, whatever you're doing. But when you go to the immigration division, you might want to take like a taxi back, because if you just order a Grab to the exit, there are like 100 taxis waiting. They're gonna look at you like really angry. Just saying, just to prepare you for that. Also, very important, at the immigration division, so where you extend your visa, they ask for the proof of an ATK test. Like right now during COVID, that's not longer ago than 72 hours, I think. Yeah. So make sure that you do an ATK test before, and that you have proof of the ATK test, like a picture or whatever. Then they let you in. Otherwise, they won't let you in. All right, at the work permit office, they didn't ask for that, but of course there was a temperature check and so on as well. All right, so that's it about the work permit and visa extension that I just did this week, just to let you know, so you know what's going to happen. Next Thailand Tuesday is going to be a bit more spicy, I promise. So stay there, stay tuned, stay with me, subscribe, like, ideally also rate this thing, because then people can find it and we can have a bigger discussion, which of course is always appreciated. All right, that's it for today, for the Thailand Tuesday. As always, stay safe, take care, Chok Di, and Sawadee Krap.